Well, a top story now, and it's almost like we're desperately trying to avoid the appalling realities of the world. It has been another tricky week for the Northern Hemisphere, with war, brutality, failure, human rights atrocities, genocide, and genocide-related pedantry winning out once again over hope, truth, happiness, and the idea of human progress. So instead, for our top story this week, we're popping south of the equator for New Zealand news now. And
yes,
James, we joke about war maybe too often on this podcast, but New Zealand is on the brink of what could be a defining conflict between Fur Patrol and the government. Fur Patrol being, as I'm sure you'll explain, a prominent rock group.
Yes, it's all coming up Milhouse, as we say over here. Andy, the Fur Patrol, now there's a lot of different names here, so I'll try and summarize. Essentially, the Aotearoa New Zealand Music Awards was last week. The leader of the House, Chris Bishop, was at those awards. We are unsure if he was there as the leader of the House, of the government, or as just a fan, because he was wearing a Fur Patrol T-shirt. During this awards, there was a performance by a beloved Māori artist called Stan Walker. Now, it's been an interesting time for Māori in New Zealand, so there was quite a lot of Māori sovereignty, pro-Māori paraphernalia during his performance. The leader of the House, he did not like this, and he may or may not have been drunk, but he was definitely holding a beer while wearing his Fur Patrol T-shirt. And he said very loudly, "What a load of crap." Now, he went on quite loudly about this all being a load of crap, to the point where an older gentleman turned around and said, "Shut up, dickhead." And now that is the worst insult you can say in New Zealand culture. It's a bit like Australian rules, Felicity. C-bombs as far as the eye can see. But if you call someone a dickhead and you mean it, that's a fight. So what we've now got is the leader of the House calling a prominent Māori musician's performance crap while wearing a Fur Patrol T-shirt, and this old gentleman has called him a dickhead. And it turns out this old gentleman is a guy called Don McGlashan from a famous New Zealand band called the Mutton Birds, and he is beloved. It's I'm not sure what the English... It's a bit like Cliff Richard calling someone a dickhead. You don't expect to hear the word dickhead come out of his mouth. But to be called a dickhead by Cliff Richard would just haunt you for the rest of your life. So Don McGlashan calling the leader of the House a dickhead about heckling a Māori performer, it's national news. The Deputy Prime Minister has come in and said that obviously it's the leader of the House's right to say that it might be crap. It could have been crap. Art is subjective. The Prime Minister has weighed in and said that the leader of the House has always been a big fan of New Zealand. The Prime Minister has weighed in on this. I cannot stress that enough. It is as close to civil war as New Zealand has been. To add fuel to fire, Fur Patrol, the people on the T-shirt have come out and said, even though he was wearing our T-shirt, we do not in any way, shape or form support him saying that things were crap. This could be the third New Zealand civil war after, of course, the Māori Wars and the Elven Wars of the early 2000s.
obviously.
So things are very tight here. The leader of House, Chris Bishop, has come out and said, in hindsight, he probably shouldn't have said anything out loud. That is the most New Zealand's result that we could possibly have, and that it is probably a tie.
Could I just say, I did actually read about this, and I was like, okay, it just kept, as you said, it just kept building and building and building. And at the end of it, all I could think is, and they call women emotional. Like, just... And also, if you haven't seen the New Zealand Prime Minister, try to imagine someone who looks like somehow the son of every single person from Guess Who. That's it. Like a well-dressed skin tag. That is what Christopher Luxon looks like. Google him. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I think that my favorite part of the story is when he gets called a dickhead and he turns around and says, well, I could say the same thing to you, mate. And Don McGlashan goes, well, I wasn't the one talking. And this is all recorded in all the prominent New Zealand websites as a massive confrontation. Now, to anyone who doesn't know New Zealanders, you might go, well, that's just two people having a polite disagreement. But in New Zealand culture, these are haymakers being thrown. As you guys will know from your time here, these are generational wounds being opened up. You're a dickhead, or I could say you're a dickhead. Well, I'm not the one talking, so you're obviously the bigger dickhead. It's, hard to recover. He may not be re-elected.
Yes, so does appear to the list of great human conflicts: good versus evil, truth versus lies, capitalism versus communism. Shame we never got to see that one with both at full strength. It was like Mayweather and Pacquiao all over again. America versus itself, Italy versus Chile, 1962. We can now add Fur Patrol versus Chris Bishop from the New Zealand National Party. And we should have. When you sent us the link, Fur Patrol. I just assumed it was a kids' cartoon series or a police branch devoted to clamping down on people wearing animal costumes for whatever personal reasons. But they are, in fact, a New Zealand rock band. And Chris Bishop is not Christopher Bainbridge, the early 16th century Bishop of Durham, but the New Zealand Minister of Transport and Housing and Infrastructure and Sport and Recreation and Leader of the House, responsible for the management of government business in Parliament. And James, that really does show there is not enough to do in New Zealand. If you can be a government minister with all of those portfolios, then I don't know what that tells us about the place.
Well, just as a smallest side note, I did beat him in a high school debate in 1999 when I was still drunk from the night before. And he is now the minister of everything, and I am a recovering alcoholic. So I don't know. I think, again, it's a tie. I think we call it a tie.
Was he at school in the capacity that he's the same age as you, or did he come to debate a child?
Look,
just for clarity.
Actually, funnily, in that moment, it was teenager versus teenager.
Okay. Well, I'm proud of you for beating him.